His house was raided by the police. He was arrested and handcuffed at the age of 13. An innocent boy or a cruel killer? Get ready because this story will take your breath away. The series begins on day 1, with a man listening to an audio message from his son on the phone. His name is Luke and he is a police officer. He is on duty with his colleague Misha in an escort. The escort moves towards somewhere. When they arrive, the police get organized. They break down the door of a house and invade it, subduing whoever was inside. They go upstairs and find a boy lying in his bed. They declare the arrest of the boy on suspicion of murder. The boy's name is Jamie Miller and the residence belongs to the Miller family. Everyone is extremely scared by the approach. The police search the house for evidence. Jamie's father accompanies him and leaves his oldest daughter, Lisa, with her mother, Manda. None of the police officers explain anything to them. Manda goes towards her son, but the police officers stop her. At this point, the father, Eddie, asks for an explanation and Detective Misha tells him that his son is being arrested on suspicion of murder and will be questioned. She gives them a form for possible reimbursement for the damages to the house. The idea that her 13-year-old son was a murderer seemed absurd. Jamie is taken away and his father follows him to the car. Luke tries to calm him down, but the boy only repeats that he wants his father and that he did nothing. In the car with them is Derek from social services to help Jamie. Luke gives him instructions on what to do when they get to the police station. They arrive at the police station. The inspector takes Jamie through the police station. He goes through an intake form. The officer asks all the necessary questions and gives the boy instructions. He is quite scared when he realizes that his parents have arrived, but the officer does not let them talk to him. Jamie is taken to a cell while he waits. Inspector Luke goes to the room where Jamie's parents are. He says that if they need it, he has a lawyer to recommend, which they reluctantly accept. Manda questions the abrupt approach to her home, but the inspector assures her that the approach was only necessary and without aggression, and if they disagreed they could file a formal complaint. He goes on to say that Jamie requested his father as legal guardian during the evidence collection process. Eddie accepts. Before they continue, the inspector warns Eddie that if his son confessed to anything related to the case he is being accused of, he could not be the boy's legal guardian. Eddie denies any possibility that his son committed any crime. The inspector listens to him and leaves the room. Manda talks to a friendly neighbor to watch her house, as the door was broken into. Eddie asks her to tell the neighbor not to tidy up anything and to take photos of everything and send them so they can fill out the form. Lisa admits to being very scared and her mother tries to reassure her by saying that it was certainly a mistake. He sees Officer Misha and asks for his son, but she asks him to wait. She goes to her office and there is Luke. He asks if Jamie's father worries her. She asks why and he says that he has worked on a case where it took a long time to find out what the father was doing with his son. Misha says he didn't notice anything unusual. He lets it go and they start to analyze what they have so far. They need a few more authorizations, but they have to wait. Luke leaves the room. A police officer approaches him. The council wants to know which facility to take Jamie to. Luke says that when the time comes they will decide where to take him. He calls his wife to see how they are and to see if his son went to school. He hangs up the phone and goes back to his room. In the cell, Jamie is with his father. He is with his father and a woman asks him some questions. After the questions, the boy starts to cry and says he wants to go home. He asks his father if he believes him and Eddie says yes. He is asked to leave the cell. The lawyer assigned to Jamie's case arrives at the police station and is sent to the room where Eddie, Manda, and Lisa are. He asks if they have any complaints about how they were treated and they report what happened. The lawyer promises to look into the situation. He also asks about Jamie. His father says he doesn't seem well. After introducing himself, the lawyer leaves the room to find out more about the case and goes to another room. There he meets with Misha and Luke. They report the time and place of the crime. The lawyer comments on the approach at the Miller house and asks if they can give any details about the victim. Luke says he will know soon and that they are still looking for the victim's relatives. The lawyer asks what procedures have been done with the boy so far. Luke and Misha give all the details available. At that moment, a police officer informs them that they are ready to collect samples and they leave the room. A police officer calls Eddie to accompany Jamie to collect samples. Jamie arrives right behind. They take photos of the boy. The lawyer meets Jamie and introduces himself. They collect Jamie's saliva, collect his fingerprints and ask for the password to the boy's cell phone to access his information. The lawyer advises him not to give out the password and so Jamie does. When it's time to collect the blood, the boy refuses because he is afraid of needles. The police officer informs him that this could harm his defense and the lawyer agrees. Eddie supports his son and he gives in, even though he is very uncomfortable. The police officer asks Jamie to take off his clothes so he can do an intimate search. Eddie objects and tries to argue, but the police officer insists, saying it is necessary. Eddie also insists and says that this is not right. The lawyer says that they need to do this or his defense will be harmed. Eddie argues with the officers, but Jamie agrees to do it. While everyone turns around for the search to be carried out, his father watches everything indignantly. The search is very thorough. They collect Jamie's clothes and give him another one. They are taken to a room to talk to the lawyer in private. He talks to Jamie and asks them questions so they can interact. Talking about the case, the lawyer tells Jamie that he just needs to answer, without commenting. Jamie asks if this applies to all questions and the lawyer gives some examples of when he should answer like this. Jamie says he did nothing wrong and the lawyer leaves them. Eddie goes after him and asks what he can do. He recommends not answering for his son and just being himself. Eddie admits that he is scared and that his son is innocent and a good boy. The lawyer says that the police have very strong evidence and that is why they carried out such an aggressive operation and collected Jamie's blood. He ends by asking Eddie to pull himself together and accompany his son while they prepare for the interrogation. Alone with his son, he asks if Jamie is okay and the boy says yes. Eddie decides to ask the boy if he was the one who killed the victim. Jamie looks into his father's eyes and assures him that it was not him. At that moment, the lawyer calls them in for questioning. Luke and Misha begin the interrogation. Luke reads Jamie his rights. The inspector asks Jamie what he did last night, and the boy answers without comment. Luke asks again and he answers without comment. Luke says he checked Jamie's report card and that he has good grades. He says that the report card talks about behavioral problems last year, and he asks what those problems are. Jamie answers that he doesn't know. The inspector asks who Jamie's best friends are and he answers without comment. Luke asks about the boy's love life. He shows him photos of models that the boy posted on his Instagram, and underneath the photos there are many aggressive comments and insinuations made by Jamie. Luke shows him a photo that he took and posted with some friends and asks who they are. The boy says who they are. Luke asks some questions like where they met and what they like to do. Then he asks if he went out with his friends last night and what time he got home. Jamie answers without comment. Luke asks what clothes he wore last night and he answers that he doesn't remember. The inspector asks if Jamie recognizes the sneakers in the photo, but the boy says he doesn't remember. Misha asks if he knows Kate Leonard and shows him a picture of her. Jamie confirms that he knows her. She asks if they get along and Jamie says yes. She asks if they are friends, but Jamie says he is not sure. He asks if she was the one who died. Luke interrupts, saying that it was very clever of him to ask that question and that he believes he already knew that. Misha continues asking about their friendship and Jamie answers without comment. She asks if he was attracted to the girl and he says no. She also asks if they have ever had any conversations with sexual connotations. Eddie interrupts, but Misha insists and Jamie answers no. Luke tells him the place where Kate's body was found and the time. He asks where Jamie was at that time. Jamie answers without comment. Luke asks if Jamie killed Kate and he answers no. They say that the girl was stabbed many times all over her body. The lawyer interrupts, asking for a break to talk, but Eddie does not allow it. Luke and Misha show security camera footage showing Jamie and his friends, and the footage crosses Jamie and Kate's path. The boy doesn't know what to say. Luke insists and asks why he followed the girl, but he says he didn't follow her. He swears he didn't do anything wrong. Finally, after all of Jamie's denials, police officer Luke shows a video where Jamie and Kate meet and argue. The argument ends with Jamie stabbing the girl multiple times. Her father watches the video in disbelief and not knowing what to say. Jamie starts to cry while Eddie is perplexed. Luke deduces that the boy got rid of his clothes, but kept his sneakers, and that the forensic examination would certainly find what they need to arrest him. Luke gives Jamie a chance to explain himself and even apologize to the victim's family, but the boy doesn't say anything. The police end the interrogation, the lawyer leaves the room and leaves Jamie with his father. Jamie tries to talk to his father, but Eddie cries, not believing that his son was a murderer. Eddie asks his son why he did it and the boy says it wasn't him and that he didn't do anything. If you've been hooked on this story so far, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Comment on what you thought and share it with those who love mysteries and twists. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.